Hi, everyone. My name is Vivian, and I'm the principal at Van Houston Academy. And I'm also an SAT prep instructor, teaching both math, reading, and writing. So today, I'm going to go over the math without a calculus, the math without calculus section in the SAT test October 2021. So the best way for you guys to improve your SAT score is through a lot of practice. And what do you practice? So normally, I highly recommend you guys practice the test on College Board. And also after you practice, you go through the mistakes that you make, take note of all the mistakes, and try to understand thoroughly each question, why you miss it. What is the best way to solve these questions? So I'm going to go over the whole 20 questions on the math with that category section. And okay, so here it is. So this is number one. So normally on the SAT math section, the questions level of difficulty is increasing with the number of questions. So question number 1 through 10 are often easier than question number 11 to 15. So that's the multiple choice section. So number 1 through 5 are typically very easy. You can actually get the answer within a few seconds. So here, it's late. The question difficulty is easy. So 3K plus 2K is 5. What is the solution? So this is if you take pre-algebra, you see this K is 1 immediately. But for those of you who struggle with this, the way to solve is you combine like terms first. So 3K plus 2K is 5K equals to 5. And then you divide it by 5 on both sides, and K is equal to 1. Number 2. So this question is also easy. So for those of you who knows the this type of function right here, this is called an exponential function. So the general form for this is y equal to a to the power of x, where a is a positive integer greater than 0. Positive integer. And it doesn't matter what a is. Normally the graph look like this without any transformation. It always go through the point 0 and 1. Because if you plug 0 into x, any number raised to the power of 0 is 1, especially in this case, a is a positive integer. So here the only graph that matches with this is a. And this one is without any transformation. Number 3. This is also easy question. So here, the best way to do this is you can plot the points and see which one match with your plots. So here they give you when x is -1, y is 0. So when x is -1, y is 0. When x is 0, y is -4. And when x is 1, y is 0. And obviously the graph looks like this. This is a quadratic function, parabola. The answer is A for number 3. Next one. This is also an easy question. So this question, they test you to recognize function notation. So they gave you the function f of x, and they giving another piece of information, f of 2 equal to 12. So f of 2 equal to 12 means what? So all you have to do is replace x with 2 into the original function. So f of 2 means when x is 2, so instead of x, we replace all the x as 2 into the original function. And this equal to 12. So 12 plus 8 minus c. So c is 8. Next one. This is a medium question because there's almost half of the paragraph of wording to read. So when I do this kind of question, I don't read everything. Pay attention to the equation that I gave you. And now this is a real world problem. So the biggest things you want to understand is what does X and Y represent? So let's figure that out. So here it says the number of minutes running is X. So X is running minutes. And Y is what? Walking minutes. Okay, so what do they ask for? How many minutes did this person walk? So what does that mean? They're asking for Y. So what do they give you? Say if this person ran for 20 minutes, that means that X is 20. So how do you do this? You replace 20 into the original equation and solve for Y right there. So let's solve this. 11.5 times 20 plus 3.5y equal to 65. It's a very easy equation to solve. So right here, 11.5 times 20 is 230 plus 35y equal to 265. So 33.5y equals to 35. Therefore, y is equal to 10. So number 6 is a medium level question as well. So this is a fraction divided by a whole number. So when you have a fraction divided by a whole number, you just multiply the denominator with that whole number. So for example, if you have 2 over 3 and you divide by 4. So what you do is you take 2, you divide by 3, and multiply with that whole number at the bottom right there. So this will be 2, 12. So let's go back to our problem right here. So this will be 6 over x times 18. And then we can simply find the 6 and the 18. So that will be 1 over 3x. Because 6 over 18 is 1 over 3. The answer is B. So next question is number 7. So this is a small, medium geometry question. They want you to ask which of the following is true about the measure of angle BAC. BAC. So which angle are we talking about? So BAC, we're talking about this angle right there. A very important property about tangents. So they give you that AB is tangent, and tangent means it touches the circle at one point only. So for any circle with a tangent line, a very important property that you have to remember is any radius drawing from a center to that point of the touching line of the tangent will make a 90-degree angle or perpendicular to the tangent line. Any tangent line that you draw, if you draw that radius to that touching point, it's always make a 90-degree angle. So right here, we know immediately the answer is C. Next question is also a medium question. So what do they ask? So they ask you, what is the value of x if f of x equal to 0? For those who don't know, f of x means y. So when y is 0, what is x? So basically, they're asking for x when y is 0. This is what is called the x-intercept, or a 0 of the function. Very easy. you look at the graph and see where it crosses the x-axis. In this case, it is 3. So this is the type of question that is called isolating variable. Isolating variable. Or in Algebra 1, you learn this in a chapter called literal equation. So here, they want you to solve for t, right there. They want you to solve for t. So how do you do this? So isolating variable is like unpacking a suitcase. So you undo everything until the variable is by itself. So here we have A equals to P times RT plus 1. So you want to undo everything until you have T by itself. So first thing first, so this P right here is multiplying to the parentheses. So in order to undo P, we do the opposite, which is dividing. So dividing P on both sides. So here we get A over P equals to RT plus 1. Okay. Again, we want to undo everything. So here we have plus 1, we undo plus 1, which means minus 1. So we have A over P minus 1 equals to RT. Now again, we want T by itself. We want to undo this R times T. So undo this R, we divide. And the golden rule in algebra is that whenever you divide something on one side, you divide that thing on the other side on every single term. So here, we're going to divide R here, and we're going to divide R here as well. So the R cancel out. So T is by itself. Let's look at the answer choice to see which one match. So A over PR minus 1 over R. So the answer is C. This is a geometry question. So what do they ask? They ask for the volume of the right triangular prism. So in order to find the volume of prism, here's the general formula for volume of prism. Prism is a 3D shape with 2 bases. Here the base is a triangle. So here the volume is base times height. And this capital B is the area of the base. So here the base is in the shape of a right triangle. So how do you find this big B? Area of triangle is 1/2 times base times height. So 1/2 times, this is right triangle, so the base and the height are the 2 legs. So it would be 6 times 6. And then the height of the triangle is this. So that's the height right there, times 10. So 6 times 6 is 36, times 10 is 360, divided by 2 is 180. And that's your answer right there. Number 11. So this is a word problem. So let's see what all the informations they are giving you. So a hotel has a total of 180 rooms. On a certain day, half the rooms were cleaned. There were 9 housekeepers on duty at the hotel that day, and each housekeeper cleaned the same number of rooms are. So we have 9 housekeepers, and each of them clean R rooms. So in total, we have 9 housekeepers cleaning R rooms. So on certain days, they will clean 9 R rooms. And because they only clean half the rooms, so that will be equals to 180 divided by 2. Now, all the answer choices, the 180 doesn't have the divided by 2. So let's move the divided by 2 over there. So again, we do the opposite because this is dividing, so we multiply by 2. So this is 2 times 9r equals to 180. Because 2 times 1/2, these cancel out. So 2 times 9r equal to 180. Which one says that? The answer is A. Okay, let's move on to number 12. So this question, they give you a graph. So here, the x goes up by 2. The x values go up by 2, and then the y values go up by 8. So let's see what it says. A patio is to be made using square paving stones that are all the same size. There will be no gaps between the paving stones, and they will not overlap. The line in the XY plane above represents the relationship between the area Y in square feet of the patio and the number of paving stone X. So here, Y is the area, and X is the number of paving stones. So Y is the area, and X is the number of paving stones. And if you notice, so when X is 2, Y is 8. When X is 4, Y is 16. When X is 6, Y is 24. Because this graph goes through 0, 0, which is the origin, we know the function for this graph is in this form, Y equal to KX, which is also a proportion. Or in Algebra 1, they call this is a direct variation. So when X is 2, Y is 8. So obviously, we know that this is Y equal to 4X. Now, so what else do they give you? The top surface of each paving stone is a square with side K feet. What is the value of K? Because it's square, the value of the side is K feet. So if you have a square, its side is K. So the area of one square is equal to K squared, because the area of a square is side times side, right? So imagine if you have each square is K squared square feet. So if you have X stones, its stones is K squared square feet. So you have X. So that means the area of the whole thing will be K squared times X. Again, because this is each stone. This is the area of each stone. Okay, and X is the number of stones. So the total area will be the total number of stones multiplied with the area of each stone. So Y equal to K squared X, but we also know that Y equal to 4X. So therefore, we have K squared equal to 4. So K equals to 2. Right there. Number 13. So this is a standard Algebra 1 problem. They give you a graph, equation of a line, and they ask you which equation matches with this. So the best way to do this is, if you notice, we already know the X and Y intercept. So the Y intercept is 0 and 2, and the X intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 and 0. So all you do is, to test this, instead of solving for Y and find a slope, all you have to do is plug these 2 points in to see which one works for both points. So here, when X is 0, if you plugged into this, so this one will be 5 times 0 minus 2 times 2. So 0 minus 4, so this is negative 4, so we know the answer is not A. So let's plug into this. So this is 5 times 0 plus 2 times 2. Let me see. So this one doesn't work either, because this is 4. So this is wrong. So 2 times 0 minus 5 times 2, this is negative 10. So this is wrong. We know the answer has to be D. Let's just double check. So 2 times 0 plus 5 times 2 is 10. That's correct. And then to test the second point as well. 5 times, So 2 times 5 plus 5 times 0, and that equal to 10 as well. So D is correct. So that's the best way to do it. Now, this is a standard question that I've seen so many times on the SAT tests. And so what do they ask? So they give you a system equation. They says, if the system has no solution, what is the value of n? For those of you who have done algebra 1 and algebra 2, so each of these lines represent, each of these equations represent a straight line. So when does a system have no solutions? So if you draw these two lines and they parallel, that's when you have no solutions. They never cross each other. So how do we know when they parallel? They parallel when the slopes of the two lines are the same. How do we test that? So the best way to solve this equation is because the slopes of this is the coefficient of x and y. Which are the numbers in front of x and y? That's the ratios of x and y. So in order to compare the slopes of these two lines, we can just set up the ratios of the coefficients of x and y. So this is my method of solving these kind of questions, and it works 100% of the time. So here, the coefficient in front of x will be n over 12. And we want to compare to the coefficients of y, so that's 3 over negative 6. And also we want to make sure that the last ratio, which is the constant ratio, this is 1 and 6. We want to compare that too. No solution means the slopes have to be the same, which means the first two ratios have to be the same. And it has to be different from this. If it's the same, then these two equations are the exact same thing. It results into one line if they are the same. So that's infinitely many solutions. But here we want the case when it has no solutions. So this is the setup that we solve for n. So on the test, if you see this, all you need to do is set up the ratios of x and y, compare them. And now we use a very standard method called cross multiply to solve for n. So here, n times negative 6 is negative 6n. 3 times 12 is 36. So the answer is negative 6. Right there. It's a medium question as well. So next question. Well, this is radical, exponential kind of thing. So we have to simplify in square root 16a to the power 16. First thing first, let's break it out into this. Square root 16 times square root of a to the power 16. Okay, so we all know that square root 16 is 4. Okay, now let's simplify square root of a to the power 16. So here is the chance for us to review this formula. So if you have n root of x to the power n, so this is the same as x m over n. So here, let's turn that. So when you have a number, the root, this is called square root. Square root means a hidden 2 right here that nobody writes. So this is same as a to the power 16 divided by 2. So the answer is 4a to the power 8. And right there. It's a medium question as well. So we done with the multiple choice section. And now let's move on to the, what is it called? Open response. Okay, so the level of difficulty resets because this is the first question of the open response question. So 16, as you notice, level is easy. So how easy is this? Very easy. So this is algebra 1. So this equation is the form of y equal to mx plus b. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this thousands of times in your Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 class. So here m is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. They asked for the slope. So basically the answer is 3/5. Right there. Okay, next question. So they're asking for the value of x. So this is a system equation, and straight up they just want you to solve for x. So we're going to use elimination. How do we do elimination? So to do elimination, here they want to solve for x. So you just eliminate y. So in order to eliminate y, we want to make the coefficient in front of y the same but opposite. Here we have 2 and -3. So in order to get rid of y, we multiply the first equation by 3 and the second equation by 2. Reason is 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times -3 is -6. They will cancel each other out. So we have 9x plus 6y equals to 24. And then we have ax minus 6y equals to 10. So let's add them up. We have 17x, y cancel out, and that's the reason why we multiply by those two numbers. So this is 34. We know that x equal to 2. So this is a trick question, trigonometry. This is trick function. So SAT math test does test trick function, trick identity. And the good news is they actually only test you guys on one identity only. So what is that identity? So let's review that. So if you have sine of x, it will be equals to cosine of its complementary, which is 90 minus x. Exact same fashion. So cosine of x equals to sine of its complementary. And the next formula or identity is exactly the same, but it's just written in a different way. So if you have sine of A equals to cosine of B, we know that A and B has to be complementary, so they add up to 90 degrees. Okay, so what does that mean? So I'll give you an example. Sine of 30 has to be equal to cosine of 60 because they're complementary to each other. So let's go back to the question here. They give you sine of x equals to cosine of 90. So you're asking yourself, so x and 20 have to add up to 90, right? So what add to 90? 20 equal to 90. We know that x has to be 70. And this is the only identity that you have to memorize on the SAT for trick functions. I know that in pre-cal, you guys learn probably 30, 50 identities. But here on the SAT, this is the only identity that you will see on the test. Well, this is an absolute value type equation, absolute value. And for those of you who don't understand what absolute value means, it means the distance from that number to 0. So for example, absolute value of 2 is the distance from 2 to 0, which is 2. And in the same fashion, absolute value of -2, that means the distance from -2 to 0, and because its distance is always 2. Absolute value of x minus 2 in Algebra 1, when you learn you set up, because absolute value of negative number and positive number result in the same answer. So here we have absolute value, x minus 2 equal to 3. We set up this way, so x minus 2 equal to 3, or x minus 2 equal to negative 3. So that means x equal to 5, or x equal to negative 1. And because they asked for the sum, so you add them up. So the sum is equal to 5 plus negative 1, which is 4. Next question. Number 20. Difficulty hard. That means it is difficult. In the given equation, b is a positive constant. The sum of the solutions of the equation is 5. What is the value of b? So here, this is already factored out. So you actually have 3 solutions to this. X squared. So here we know that x equal to 0. So x squared is a factor. So we know x is a 0, is a solution. And so if you don't understand why, if you plug 0 into the x squared, 0 squared is 0, because one thing is 0, so the whole product will be 0. So x0 equal to 0 is a solution. And also here, negative 3 is a solution. And then we have b is also a solution. So these are solutions, or these are called the zeros of the functions. And it says the sum is equal to 5. What does that mean? 0 plus negative 3 plus b equals to 5. They want you to find b. So what is b right here? We know that b is h. Because a plus negative 3 is 5. So that is the last question on the math without calculator. In the next video, I will go over the whole math with calculator section on October 2021 tests.